Stars Unlimited Leader Spotlight. As a reminder, we're going to be doing a Leader Spotlight every day until the game releases. So go check out some of the ones we've done in the past and make sure you guys look out for the ones we may do in the future and enjoy today's Leader Spotlight. Rules for the Leader Spotlight. In these videos, all these cards I'm going to talk about in conjunction with this leader won't always be the best cards to use for these leaders. Just one that I think are personally synergistic and ones that I personally like. That being said, not every card that I do like will end up in today's video, and so if you guys have any better suggestions or personal suggestions that you want to make, please do make them down in the comment section below. That being said, let's get into today's leader. And that's going to be Grand Moff Tarkin. He's going to be the leader card that we're going to be talking about in today's video, and he's going to be green, a command, and a villainy leader. He's going to have the title, of course, Insurrector Governor, Oversector Governor. Yeah, well, sorry about that. He's going to be an imperial and an official unit. He's going to have the action to pay one resource and exhaust him to give an experience token to an imperial unit. And if you don't know what an experience token looks like, it's going to look like something like this. So let's move Tarkin out of the way real quick so you can get a better look. It's just going to say +1/+1. It's a token that can be put on any unit and has no cost to equipped. And a lot of abilities are just going to say give them to a unit, and that just means you attach it right to them. And just so you know, you don't need this token card to use this effect. You just need anything that both players agree will be the experience token, which can be a penny, a dice, or anything of the sort, right? So when you finally get 5 resources, you can deploy him as a unit, leader unit, and then he's going to have the 2/7 stat line, and on attack he can give an experience token to another imperial unit. So as you can see, he likes giving experience token to units, and he likes dealing with imperial units, and that will be the theme throughout the rest of this video. Our units will be either A, imperial, or B, work really well with experience tokens, and sometimes they're going to end up being both. Got some cards from each aspect that will work well with Grand Moff Tarkin. So let's first take a look at the aspect he comes on. That's going to be the command aspect. And now there's a lot of cool cards in command aspect that works well with Tarkin. But first, let's take a look at the bases you can use when you're playing with Tarkin. Tarkin can either use the one of the generic bases or you can use the energy conversion lab. I personally like one of the generic bases more than I care about the energy conversion lab, but of course, the preference and the choice is all up to you when it comes to that. Just a little extra benefits when there. When we talk about some units, obviously general tag, something that comes to mind, a 2-cost unit with a 2/2 stat line. He's an imperial unit, so you can use him with Grand Moff Tarkin's ability, and when you play him, you can give an experience token to up to 3 trooper units. So obviously that's going to work more with troopers than imperials, but him being imperial and him giving experience tokens makes him seem a little bit of an obvious choice to add into a Tarkin deck, just to test out, right? The Super Laser Technician is always going to be a great card to look at because it's going to be a 2/1/3 cost unit that when it dies, you can put it into your resource row and ready it. So it's just going to ramp up. It's a generally great unit, and it's also Imperial to be used with Tarkin's ability if you think that it needs to be. Then also the Vanguard Infantry is going to be a trooper unit, so it can be used with tag. It's not going to be Imperial, sadly, but it does give an experience token when it dies. So it's going to be one of those other units that work well with Imperial units. Then we're going to look at the Gladiator Star Destroyer. It's a more expensive unit at 6 cost, 5/6. It's Imperial though, and when you play, you can give a unit Sentinel this phase. And obviously, if you start adding a bunch of experience tokens to this unit, then it's going to become even more powerful and have bigger numbers. So obviously, there's a nice little inclusion there. On the similar note, you have the Relentless. It's another big spaceship, Imperial 8/8/9 cost, and the first event played by each opponent loses all of its abilities this round, right? The first event, each opponent plays each round, loses all its abilities. It's going to be a detriment to a lot of different yellow decks that really rely on event cards to do what they want to do. Now, moving on from the units a little bit here, let's take a look at some events. Overwhelming Barrage will be a 5-cost tactic. It's going to give a friendly unit +2/+2 for this phase, and then it deals damage equal to its power dividing as you choose amongst any number of other units. Another small theme that I sort of implemented in today's video is the idea that I'm going to beef up my units and then use their attack power and sort of deal burn damage, or rather direct damage in that sense. Only a couple cards work this way, but being the fact that Tarkin can make any unit essentially one bigger, I feel like this is an important card to add into the deck here. And then we also have a similar idea with Attack Pattern Delta. If you're playing Tarkin on double green, then you can pay the 3 cost and then give a friendly unit +3/+3, then another friendly unit +2/+2, then a third friendly unit +1/+1. And again, it just helps to that idea. We're just making big bodies onto the field. You can play Command, the innate event for the command aspect. It's going to be a 4-cost card, and it's going to essentially say choose 2 in any order, give an experience token, give 2 experience tokens to a unit, choose a friendly unit, and it deals damage equal to its power to a non-unique enemy unit. Then you can also put this event into play as a resource, and you can also return a unit from your discard pile to your hand. A lot of these effects, if you're playing double green, are going to be very, very important, and especially a couple of them in the whole Tarkin matchup here. Then we have another green event. It's going to be True Strike. It's going to be a 3-cost event, and an friendly unit deals damage equal to its power to an enemy unit, and it sort of falls into that other thing we were talking about. If you're going to have big units on the field, and you're going to have them have experience tokens all over them, then quite frankly, them just being able to deal up to whatever their power is +1 in damage is just really nice. Of course, it's not to your opponent's base, but it's to other units, clearing the board and controlling the board a little bit. Then for the only upgrade that I have for the command symbol, it's going to be the Academy Training. It's just a simple +2/+2, and it's going to be a 2-cost event, or rather upgrade, and it's just going to allow some of your units to, again, get bigger than they would be if you didn't play this card. Do you want to play him on Cunning? There's a lot of cool cards that you can do with it. Obviously, you don't have to play Jeddah City, and I probably wouldn't, but you can always do it because it's going to give you some effects that can end up winning you the game, and it's definitely a choice that you have to make when you're building your deck if you decide that you need it to put you there, get you there. But if not, then the extra 5 health will come in handy, believe that. So starting off, we have the ISB agent, a 1-cost agent with 1/3 stat lines. It's going to be an Imperial agent that when you play him, you can reveal an event from your hand, and if you do, deal 1 damage to a unit. Nothing too crazy, nothing absolutely synergistic with Tarkin other than the fact that it's Imperial, but that extra damage can end up making the difference between whether or not you can defeat a unit or not. And of course, you can also give him a experience token, which will make him a 2/4, which is not a bad stat line for a 1-cost. Whether really you'd make him sort of a 2-cost unit because you'd have to use Tarkin's ability. But that being said, it's not a bad trade by any means, right? And then you can also take a look at the 7th Fleet Defender. It's going to be a 3-cost unit, 3/2 stat line, Imperial, and shielded. When you play him onto the field, he gets a shield. It's going to allow you to go ahead and give this unit some staying power and help you use it more times throughout the game than otherwise. And then you have Shoot First, which is an event. It's a 1-cost event, and you can attack with the unit. It gets +1/+0, and then it deals damage before the defender in this combat. Obviously, if you're trying to keep your units on board, it's going to give them some protective power because if they're able to one-shot that unit, then they can basically take no damage in return. And when you're beefing up your units, your numbers are going to be a little bit more favorable for you than your opponent usually. And then, of course, you can use Snapshot Reflexes as an upgrade. It's going to give a 1/1, beef up those units even more. And when you play this onto a unit, you can attack with attached unit. So you can experience up a unit, then attach Snapshot Reflexes and swing in for some pretty decent damage before your opponent really. Not well, they get an action between the experience token and the Snapshot Reflexes, but you can do some decent damage before they get a real chance to respond. Or rather, quicker than you might have otherwise been able to with the Snapshot Reflexes. And yeah, that's not many cards I talked about for Cunning, but it's just not my preferred way to play Tarkin. I think there's better ways to play the character, and I think that there's better ways that you can absolutely use Tarkin, and I'm going to talk about some of them right now. So if you don't want to play him on Cunning, then of course you can play him on Aggression, because Aggression is one of the coolest aspects out there, and quite frankly, I think it's one of the best aspects when you're talking about Imperial units because of how many come into the game through this aspect. So you can play Tarkin Town. I think it would be pretty cool to play Tarkin Town with Grand Moff Tarkin, but of course, if you don't feel like you need the extra 3 damage, you might as well not give up the extra 5 health. You can play the Death Star Stormtrooper. It's going to be a 1-cost unit, and it's going to have a 3/1 stat line, Imperial. Of course, it can be worked with Tarkin, make it a 4/2, swing in there with Tarkin, and allow it to do up to maybe 4 damage, which is pretty decent on a 2/1 cost unit. And then so for some more value, you can play the First Legion Stormtrooper. It's going to be a 2-cost unit, 2/3, Imperial. And while attacking a damaged unit, this unit gains +2 and it gains Overwhelm. So you're making this unit bigger. It's getting +2 and it's getting Overwhelm. You can swing over some of your opponent's early game units and deal some pretty decent damage to their base. You can also play the Seventh Sister, a bit of a more expensive unit, 5 cost, 3/6, but is Imperial, and it does have Saboteur, so it gets to ignore Sentinel and Shields. And then when this unit deals combat damage to your opponent's base, you can deal 3 damage to a ground unit that opponent controls. They're bigger with the Imperial, with the experience tokens, and then she can sabotage, and she can deal some extra damage to your opponent's ground units after she's swinging into the base. And she's a base 6, HP unit, and then she can also gain some more through the experience tokens you may be putting on her. Absolutely amazing in my personal opinion. But that's not it for aggression. Of course, you can play some more space units. 4 cost Imperial Interceptor, a 3/2 Imperial unit. When you play, you can deal 3 damage to a space unit. More burn for you there. And then also, you can obviously use Tarkin's ability with it. Then, of course, you have Precision Fire. It's going to be an event. It doesn't have anything directly synergistic with Tarkin, but it does have some cool effects here that can be used. Attack with the unit. It gains Saboteur for the attack, and it also, if it is also in a trooper, it gets +2. And a lot of the units we talk about here are troopers, not all of them, and maybe not the majority of them, but a decent amount. And obviously, you can buff those numbers if you really want to take advantage of this event more efficiently and more frequently. Then if you want to play an upgrade out of aggression, you can play Infiltrator Scale. I don't think it's necessary, but it is a cool upgrade, +1/+1, and it gains Saboteur. The attached unit gains Saboteur. So obviously, it's again making your units bigger, and getting that Saboteur ability, ignore Sentinel, ignore Shield, swing in with big numbers, and take down your opponent, which is sort of the name of the game when you're playing Tarkin, especially on aggression. So then say you don't want to play him on aggression. You want to play him on, of course, the final aspect, Vigilance, blue. And I really like Tarkin on Vigilance, and we're going to go over why here. First off, what base you're going to play, obviously is up to you. I think Security Comp is actually a pretty good answer here. Giving a shield to a non-leader unit. You put experience token on a unit, you shield it up, it's going to become a lot more sturdy than if you don't, obviously. But also, again, if you're making your units really big, you want to use them as much as you possibly can before they go away, which is something you can generally say about every unit, but I think it's particularly important when you're working with Tarkin. So first off, we have Gideon Hask, 5 cost unit, 5/5, Imperial and Trooper, but when any enemy unit is defeated, you can give experience token to a friendly unit, so obviously giving those experience tokens out. You can also play the Academy Defense Walker, 6 costs, 5/5, Imperial, Sentinel, which is good, and then when it's played, you can give an experience token to a friendly damaged unit. And then, of course, you have the Inferno 4. Not exactly an experience-based card, but an Imperial unit, 2 cost, 2/3. When played and when it's defeated, look at the top 2 cards of your deck and put them put them at the bottom of your deck, and the rest on the top in any order. So if you look at the top 2, if you like both of them, you can put them back in any order. If you like neither, you can put them at the bottom. And so it really allows you to filter out your deck and get the cards that you want to see when you want to see them. And then you have Resilient. It's going to be an upgrade card you can play on Vigilance. It's going to give them +3 health, allow them to stick around longer. And there's a lot of upgrade cards you can play on Vigilance, but this is just one that I decided to pull up here just because. And that's really going to do it for Vigilance. But as you can see really quickly from the few cards that we talked about, there's a lot of synergy here with a lot of these different cards, and even more so that I didn't have a chance to talk about. And finally, after Vigilance, there's sort of the one of the neutral quote-unquote aspects, which is an aspect, but it doesn't have the base aspect. But we have Villainy. So you have something like the Snow Trooper, the Lieutenant, right? Being a 2-cost unit, 2/2, Imperial and Trooper. When it's played, you can attack with the unit, and if it's an Imperial unit, which a lot of your cards will be, it gains +2, +0. You can also play someone like General Veers, an Imperial unit, 3 cost, 3/3. Other Imperial units get +1/+1. Again, synergy with those Imperial units that you're going to be playing. You can play the TIE Advance, an Imperial unit, 4 costs, 3/2. When played, give 2 experience tokens to another friendly Imperial unit. Again, a great synergy with Tarkin there. And then finally, you can play the Maximum Firepower 4-cost event, Imperial event. That doesn't necessarily going to matter with a Tarkin leader card, but a friendly Imperial unit deals damage to its equal to its power to a unit. Then another friendly Imperial unit deals damage equal to its power to that same unit. And again, if your units are going to be big and you're going to add even more tokens to them, then you can just play firepower and just blast a unit right off the board half the time, and it's going to be really cool, really thematic, and really synergistic with Tarkin. But that's going to be it for today's video. We talked about Grand Moff Tarkin in today's video, a command unit with the ability to give his cards experience tokens by paying a couple resources and exhausting him. And turn after turn, your units are just going to be bigger than your opponent's units. Maybe that won't always make the difference between winning the game or not, but if you're interested in trying this deck out, I suggest you guys go ahead and give it a go. I really like Grand Moff Tarkin, and I think he has a lot of potential in the future of the game moving forward. Of course, come back next tomorrow for the next leader spotlight and watch some of the other spotlights that we have dropped on it. Well, that's going to be all for now, but if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys go ahead and watch some of our other videos that we've made on this channel. Also, give this video a like if you thoroughly enjoyed it. And of course, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our future content. And I hope to see you guys back at the Roost.